Georgia got it done yesterday in Knoxville in an electrifying Neyland Stadium. Left-handed, might I add. In overtime, final score, Georgia 44, Tennessee 41. Now, should Georgia have lost that game? I would hear that argument. I don't think that's a ridiculous thing to say. If Tennessee hits that field goal, we're having a very different discussion this morning. But Tennessee didn't make that field goal. Georgia did make the plays at the end. Georgia did have that final drive in overtime to ultimately put the game on ice. And sometimes, man, like the better you are, the luckier you get. Now, Georgia can't look this way in the future and achieve all their goals of winning the SEC, winning a national championship. But here's the deal, dude. They're not winning the SEC today. They beat Tennessee yesterday, and that's all that matters. Again, final score, a 3-point dub for Georgia on the road in overtime. Their quarterback's first road start in his life, first SEC start in his life. What do you take away from this game? Again, I take away that Georgia found a way to get it done left-handed. We'll break all that down right now, but if you're a Georgia Bulldog fan, make sure you are subscribed right here. If you're just a college football sicko, just enjoying a wonderful Sunday morning, kind of re-inhaling the day that was in college football. Again, make sure you're subscribed to college football year-round. Also, follow me, socials, Instagram, Twitter, at JD PicKell. Let me know what your thoughts were yesterday when Georgia got it done in Neyland. This was exactly the game. When we broke this thing down during the week, gave you our preview prediction for Georgia-Tennessee, this was exactly the kind of game that we said would favor Tennessee. Hey, if Georgia's got to go score points, if the game goes on Gunnar Stockton, I don't know if I love that game on the road for my guys' first ever road star. I don't know if I like the way that tilts because Tennessee, if they get a lead early, 21-7 kind of early. If Tennessee gets a lead early, then you put the pressure on Georgia to have to score points. And both things broke towards Tennessee, and Georgia still found a way to get it done. Still found a way to get it done. I want us to leave this game and just collectively remember what we said going into the game, narrative-wise, around Mike Bobo, around Gunnar Stockton, around the Georgia offense. It was, I don't know, man. I don't know about Bobo. I don't know about the side-to-side stuff. Now, we weren't saying that. We were saying, hey, listen, I think they've saved some stuff for this Tennessee game. I think this is a spot now where we're going to see them open it up a little bit more. We said in our last take segment, we think that Georgia is going to actually be pretty effective throwing the ball downfield. We think you'll leave this game saying, oh, Gunnar Stockton, he actually can spin it a little bit. Actually, maybe Georgia does recruit good quarterbacks because it's freaking Georgia. 44 points, 304 yards, 3 total touchdowns from Gunnar Stockton, a freaking dime, a drop in the bucket to London Humphreys when you had to have it on 4th down in the game. Clutch play at the end. Mike Bobo dials up some magic to Zachariah Branch, gets him out on the edge. 2-point conversion to tie. Like, just Georgia offensively proved they are going to be good enough down the stretch here to go accomplish whatever they want to accomplish. Specifically on that side of the football. Also, Georgia proved that what they did during the offseason, going to the portal and adding a Zachariah Branch and going and getting the guys from the high school level they went and got, adding London Humphreys from a season ago via the portal from Vanderbilt, they did not just do that for their own health. They did that to actually be explosive down the field, to have that extra element to complement the run game. All right, so we said it during the offseason as well. What Zachariah Branch brings relative to what Mike Bobo wants to do offensively, hand-to-glove fit. Get him in space. Get him on the perimeter. Let him do his thing in the screen game. And Georgia did that at a really high level yesterday. And Gunnar Stockton, I think, deserves a lot of credit for the way he operated yesterday too, because there was a lot of moments yesterday where if Gunnar Stockton wasn't like that, you know what I mean, we would have seen it. If Gunnar Stockton didn't have that little extra dose of poise and composure, he would have fainted at the moment of truth. No, he didn't have the perfect game. Gunnar Stockton's leaving this thing with a lot to clean up. There's no way around that. But I think you saw yesterday from your starting quarterback this year, with all the questions around him, all the questions around what he was going to be and this offense was going to be, you saw him meet the moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never once saw Gunnar Stockton flinch, whether it was 4th down, whether it was overtime. I never once saw Gunnar Stockton flinch. And to put a finer point on that, I never saw the entire Georgia team flinch. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was multiple moments where this is a Georgia team that still is relatively young. Like, I think Kirby Smart told us at Media Days, something like 80% of these dudes playing right now, first and second year like players for Georgia. I don't know if it's the Kirby Smart effect. I don't know if, actually, you know, I do know this. The way that Georgia does things, the way that they operate during the week, the Bloody Tuesday, the way you hear about Georgia and how they practice, like, that all shows up in spots like this. And it shows itself in composure. It shows itself in competitive poise, all those things. That showed up in this spot. Because watching that game yesterday, when Georgia went on that soul-snatching drive, 14 plays, 13 runs, and it felt like it was starting to lean more and more towards Georgia in that spot. Had in my notes written down, you can tell which one of these teams is familiar with the big moment. And that might not all the way be true, just relative to what I said, first and second year players, but the way they practiced was preparing for that big moment. There was a lot of guys in that locker room that were reserves in the big moment a year ago against Notre Dame, reserves last year on a team that won the SEC. Like, these are a lot of guys that have been around the big moment. They're familiar with it. I'm not saying Tennessee won't eventually get there. We actually have a whole other video reacting to the Tennessee side of this on this channel as well. So another reason to be subscribed, another reason to be dialed in here. But, like, you could tell when rubber met the road, Georgia flinched the least. And I think that's really notable. Going back to what I said about that 14-play drive, that's still, I think, what Georgia has in the bag here. Because as much as you don't want to play in the 40s, as much as there's still this level of we got to be able to find ways to play our brand of ball, they still have that in the back pocket. 14 plays, 13 runs, 75 yards, give me your chain. Soul-snatching kind of run from Georgia in that spot. And so that to me was like the Kirby Smart effect. I keep going back to this, but like all the other stuff that good teams major in, toughness, physicality, all that, that was a statement drive from Georgia saying, no, we still recruit at this level. We still have this edge to us, this mentality, and we're going to make sure you feel us in this game. And that was the game, or the spot in the game, where you kind of felt like it was going to be, okay, Georgia's now about to big dog. And then Tennessee, to their credit, came right back and probably should have won this game. But even if you're a Georgia fan today and you're feeling encouraged by the win and you're like, great, we beat Tennessee, awesome, that's big for us in the SEC, it's big for us going forward in our path to the college football playoff, all that, you're still a little bit like, allowing 41? It's not really. I mean, it should have been 41, and that was the game right there, right? If Tennessee makes that kick. Here's what I left feeling. I don't think we're going to see a Georgia defense look the way they looked yesterday again the rest of the year. Why? Because it's Kirby Smart and it's Glenn Schumann. And so if that's the case, and if this defense is eventually going to round into form and eventually look more and more like a Kirby Smart and Glenn Schumann defense, and you're not playing another play caller the caliber of Josh Heupel down the road, maybe Kalen DeBoer gives you some trouble like he did last year, but we'll see what happens there. I have a hard time thinking that defense, plus what that offense showed they were capable of yesterday, that anyone's going to want to see Georgia down the stretch here. And even to put another point on this, this is not new to see Georgia have some things to clean up early in the year. They do this every single year. Now, you don't see the defense look like this necessarily all the time, but I'm not really that worried about Georgia locking in the month of November to go win games with trophies behind them. Because we've seen it, we saw it in 2023. South Carolina gave them some trouble. We saw it last year. Kentucky gave them some trouble. Saw it in 2022. Missouri gave them some trouble. Like, Georgia and Kirby Smart do a phenomenal job of playing their best ball when it matters. They evolve over the course of a year. Nobody is better, for my money, than Kirby Smart at pushing the envelope every single week. And the Georgia team you get in September is very different than the Georgia team you get in November, December, and hopefully for the Dogs, January. That truth baked into this whole thing, and to still find a way to win the game that you won, again, in a left-handed fashion, the kind of game you didn't want to play, speaks volumes to what the Georgia team is going to be down the stretch. And once again, surprise, surprise, Kirby's going to be something to deal with in November. Georgia as an outfit will be something to deal with in November. And I'll be surprised if they're not in the mix there, competing for a chance at the SEC title and competing for a chance to be in the college football playoff, maybe more than that. So, Georgia fans, let me know how you feel about this one. Again, kind of a wonky game if you're a Georgia fan with allowing that many points, been scoring that many points. But regardless, we appreciate y'all making the show what it is. For Caden Smith and the ones and twos, myself, JD PicKell, appreciate y'all, love y'all. We will keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time.